Hey, JK here. I want to thank you for sharing part of your day with me.
Y'all ready for this?
Welcome back to 30 Teams in 30 Days. For day 11, we're getting this out a little later. Been in a conference all day for my job. Got home, eat a little bit of food, and saw Aaron Judge take the Brazil starting pitcher deep for a 2-run home run. I'm excited to be getting to the NL East today for day 11, and we're going to be talking about the Washington Nationals. In 2025, they went 66-96. They did miss the playoffs. They did win 5 more games last year, but they scored more runs this year. So that's some positive, right? Well, they also let up 130 more runs than they did last year, which was only 3 runs off their all-time record for most runs given up. That happened in 2000 when they were still the Expos. As we get to the offensive categories, no surprise here, James Wood led in everything, or most everything. He did not lead in triples, runs, stolen bases, or average. CJ Abrams literally beat him out by average by 1 point, probably less than 1 point because of rounding up and stuff like that. But James Wood is the real deal. The triples went to Dalen Lyle. I am so excited for this guy. Very talented, and I'm definitely going to be getting him on my fantasy teams, but I digress. Let's talk about James Wood. His abbreviated 2024 was exciting. Got all of us excited for his 2025 when he got a whole year in the game. In fact, I was looking to draft him, and there was another guy in one of my leagues that drafted him, and then released him in the first week. Unfortunately, I was a little lower on the waiver wire, so I didn't get him. But yeah, I bet that guy's kicking himself. In any case, Wood only showed us the tip of the iceberg of his talent in 2024. 2025 was his coming out party. He played in twice as many games, tripled his home runs, tripled his doubles, and then doubled his runs, hits, walks, and RBIs. He also participated in the home run derby, so there's even more home runs we could count. I know that's the whole point of the home run derby, and we don't actually count them, but you know what I'm saying? Like, he was hitting moonshots. So James Wood is the real deal. The Nationals should be excited. Nationals fans should be excited. And you know who else should be excited? The other individuals in that lineup, including Dylan Cruz, who didn't have as good a year and nowhere near as good a year, barely hitting over the Mendoza line, but did show a little bit to us. It's really important that Cruz gets back to his LSU days. In 3 years there, he had 60-plus home runs. He had 180 RBIs. He had 150 walks and a 380 batting average. So it's not like this kid is not talented. He just has to have a little more development and a little more time in the big leagues. Now, he's also going against some tough pitchers there in the NL East. But again, so is James Wood and so is Dalen Lyle and Abrams, and you know what I'm saying? Like, there are a lot of good pitchers there, but he's still young. He's got to develop. Now, we got left, we got right. Who's in center? Another young guy that is nowhere near the name or nowhere near the hype or nowhere near the pedigree that the other two guys have. I say pedigree because in college, it just wasn't sexy. Jacob Young. Now, he has been with the Nationals for 3 years, currently nursing an issue with his shoulder or his wrist or something like that, but he has been able to make constant and consistent strides in the right direction in 3 years. Playing more games. Now, he did get hurt last year, so the games actually went down, but the production was on pace to see better yield than year 1 and year 2. So again, this being year 4, Young will be in center field with 2 talented guys on either side of him. There should be absolutely no balls hitting the outfield out there. And if there is any concern about their abilities, between the 3 last year, there were only 10 combined errors. Again, how do you make an error in the outfield other than just plain dropping it? In any case, as we talk about errors or bring that up as a topic, we have to then talk about CJ Abrams, and not for good reason. He's been in the league for 4 years and has committed 76 errors, 2 years of which 22 errors. So, yikes. He is so talented, but he's so consistent. In the 4 years, you know he has produced about the same number of home runs, 20, strikeouts, 120, RBIs around 60. He's also going to give you at least 30 stolen bases and hit around 240. I know some people get really frustrated with that. It's like, why can't you just do more? Well, why don't you go into your bench press, throw 50 more pounds than what you've ever done? Why can't you do more? Because that's his ceiling. That's just what he does. I personally found it reassuring because I know exactly what I'm going to get with him. I also believe that he's got to step up as a vet on that team, which is crazy. 4 years on the team and you're a vet. The longest, most tenured National is Luis Garcia. drafted to the organization in 2020. Then you have Katie Valley, drafted into the organization. Then you have another guy who was traded to the organization, which was Josiah Gray. Then you have Mr. CJ Abrams. So again, those are the four main guys that you are going to have to rely on. Now, you know you're going to have your playmakers in the outfield like we talked about before, but there have got to be some other people who step up. Hopefully, Abrams is going to be one of those guys. Hopefully, he's not like the baseball's Kyler Murray, who spends so much time playing games or gambling or other things than focusing on baseball. Because keep in mind, 2 years ago, he was like, not suspended, but like benched for a few games because he was out too late or something like that. So, Abrams, need you to step up, brother. You're on a few of my teams. Two more young guys who are absolutely going to be able to leave their mark or already have left their mark on this organization include Brady House, who's a third baseman, and Dalen Lyle, who's an outfielder. Both are very talented, both are very touted, and both are very highly sought after in dynasty leagues and then also in the Nationals organization. But let's be real. I talked about how excited I was about Dalen Lyle. That's who we're going to talk about most. 91 games last year, and he absolutely showed out. He was able to get up to a .299 batting average. Now, he did not hit the .502 plate appearance mark, so he did not qualify for team leaders. But in those 91 games, he had 41 RBIs. Not bad. He also was able to smack 9 home runs. Okay, 1 every 10 games. That's not bad at all. The one stat I'm really curious to know how much he can improve by given a whole year and maybe some more talent around him is the triples. How many triples did he have, J-Cake? I'm so glad you asked. He had 11. Follow-up question from you that you didn't know you had. Well, what was the most in the major leagues last year? Great follow-up question you didn't know you were going to ask. 17 by Corbin Carroll. He played 143 games. Do you mean to tell me in 52 more games, there were only 6 more triples by Corbin Carroll, who was arguably one of the fastest guys in Major League Baseball? Yes, you have that crystal clear. I am going all in, or well, probably like 12th round or so on Dalen Lyle, because this guy, if given the opportunity in the lineup, which he is right now penciled in as DH, and if he can rely on his bat skills, his fielding skill is pretty well okay, but there are some really good outfielders already. If all he has to do is hit, I know all he has to do is hit, but if he can focus on hitting and not worry about catching fly balls or being at the hot corner and anything like that, wow, Dalen Lyle might take off. And I'm all for it. Sign me up. And if you're wondering, 11 triples was good for tying 4th in Major League Baseball with Zach McKinstry. So 17 was the leader, and then it was like down to 13, and then 12, and then 11. So very, very good company when you are talking about tops in Major League and one of the hardest stats to get. Not bad, Dalen Lyle. Let's keep it up, baby. We've absolutely talked these young guys up, and I am ready to run through a wall with these guys. May I be thinking, is there anyone that's not pulling their weight? Yes, there is. It is very unfortunate because he was another super highly touted prospect. Keeper Ruiz. Everything has just abruptly dropped in 24 and 25. He's gone from 127 games to 68, and he went from 13 home runs down to 2. I don't know what's going on with him, but he is like doing load management the wrong way. I'm not moving on from him because he is very talented. Came up through the Dodgers organization, which is probably where you've heard of them because everyone loves the Dodgers. Oh, the Dodgers are so good. But anyways, they are not necessarily saying they're moving on, but they're bringing some insurance, and that comes in Harry Ford. Who is Harry Ford, and why do I need to know about him? Why should I care? Is he going to take Ruiz's job? You have some really great questions tonight. I'm so glad you're asking them. Let's keep going and dive a little deeper into this. Harry Ford is a former first-round draft pick and a top 100 prospect for the Mariners. But they have this other guy named Cal Raleigh. He's also known as the Big Dumper and the reigning home run champion in the American League and all of Major League Baseball. He's already the starter there. So Ford was expendable. They actually traded him to the Nationals for one of their top relievers, Jose Ferrer. And now Harry Ford, who had in AAA 16 home runs, a 900 or almost 900 OPS in only 97 games, could be challenging for that top spot. Now, again, I don't say the Nationals are moving on already and they're not going to be like, Keeper, you're gone. But Harry Ford, if you're watching the World Baseball Classic, dropped a bomb for Great Britain today. And they said he mashed 2 more. I think that may have been an exhibition. But he has shown talent. He's got some decent arm strength too. Even though there are some questions about him being able to stay behind the plate, a sub 1.8 pop time shuts all those questions down very quick. Keep in mind, that's not every single time he catches the ball and throws over to second, but that is one of the faster times. A sub 1.8 means that he is able to receive the ball, pop up in his stance, and get the ball out to second base in about 1.8 seconds. That is very, very fast. You're talking about some of the greatest runners in all of baseball getting to second base. That's a 90-foot run. Well, okay, maybe it's like 85, 82, something like that, depending on the lead. But again, sub 1.8, that is fast. We talked about Logan O'Hoppe a few years ago. Maybe it was just last year. He had like a 2+ pop. You might think, okay, dude, that's literally 0.2 of a second. Right. You ever watch the Olympics? Those guys are usually within 2-3 of a second of each other, and that's what sets world records. Now, the questions about his ability to stick behind the plate comes from like size, comes from arm strength. Again, he shuts that down very quickly. Blocking, framing, stuff like that. So stuff he can learn, stuff he can develop, making an easy transition from catcher to pitcher. This is not an exciting group to talk about, and there are going to be just a lot of numbers that you're like, what? They're not good. Okay. Of everyone that started a game for the Nationals in 2025, one of them had an ERA below 4.2. That was Andrew Alvarez. He was able to pitch an astonishing 23 innings over 5 starts. And he had like a 3.6 or something. So not great, but it was better than 4.2, right? And you might think, okay, like, what? There's no way. Yes way. The ERAs were as high as 6.2. That was Trevor Williams. He also did get hurt and had to miss the rest of the season, and I think missing this season as well. And as low as 4.17. That was Mackenzie Gore. That was their best pitcher, arguably their best pitcher. So whips, the best one was around 1.28. The others, like the frontline guys, like 1.4 to 1.5. So again, this rotation is nothing that you want to mess around with. Now, here's another little tidbit of information for you. Somehow, these pitchers still were able to rack up 47 quality starts. And also then 74 losses. Oh, wow. Like inverted numbers. That's crazy. The two top guys, they had 9 wins each. While arguably their best pitcher, Mackenzie Gore, had 5 wins and 15 losses. There are 2 frontline guys that had the most wins, Mitchell Parker and Jake Irvin. Oh, you don't know who they are? Well, is there anything positive from this rotation? Yeah, there is. Mackenzie Gore continued his trend of having more strikeouts than innings pitched. He was able to punch out 185 people in just over 159 innings, so that's good. There are only 2 guys coming back from this rotation going into 2026. Cade Cavalli, who only had 10 starts last year, and Brad Lord. Combined, they had 29 starts, 8 wins, 11 losses, 180 innings pitched, and a 4.3 ERA. Yikes. Do we need to talk about the bullpen? They literally got rid of their best guys. Those 2 guys were Kyle Finnegan and Jose Ferrer. I wouldn't touch this bullpen, nor would I touch this starting rotation, okay? So let's move on to the prospects. Let's move on to the assets. Let's move on to the bowl predictions. The Nationals have 4 prospects in the top 100. The top one being Eli Willits. Very young, very raw, very talented, but still going to need some time. Probably won't see the major leagues for another 2 years or so. I will say, according to the scouting write-ups, he has potential to be a 5-tool player. So again, lots and lots of hype around him, but give it some time. There's also another set of pitchers, both of them big bodies, and both of them also very injury prone, and that is going to hold them back. And the last prospect is Harry Ford. The catcher will be up with the big league team pretty much the entire year, and probably pushing Keeper Ruiz for playing time. As we get to the fantasy assets, you definitely want to look at Cruz, you definitely want to look at Wood, you definitely want to look at CJ Abrams. I will also argue that depending on how deep your league is and how scarce you are at second, Luis Garcia Jr. In transitioning dynasty, you want to look at Eli Willits, you want to look at Brady House, you want to look at Harry Ford. Those 3 guys will absolutely be playmakers in the future. probably some sooner than later and at different positions with different eligibility. But as we move to the pitching, nobody. I almost forgot the arrivals and departures. There were many more arrivals than departures, but the big departures did include Mackenzie Gore and Jose Ferrer. You're really going to miss those two guys. I mean, I don't know if they're going to miss you, but you're going to miss them, that's for sure. As we to the additions, you added several guys from the Marlins, Joey Weimer, Matt Mervis. Then you tried to bolster the lineup a little bit with Miles Mikolas. You also brought in bullpen arm Stanel Perez. And then warming Bernabel to play third. So I guess he's going to be pushing Brady House maybe a little bit. Bernabel was good for like a month with the Rockies, maybe because they had more home games. Then he fizzled out like crazy. And of course, they brought in Harry Ford and a new manager, Blake Butera, who I'm pretty sure he was like a backup catcher for the Royals like 2 years ago. Anyways, as we move on to the bold predictions, we're going to have an offensively charged set of predictions. So this is going to be a young lineup that's going to hopefully be hitter friendly and swing happy. And that's going to allow them to also then be a little more aggressive at the plate because you're going to do hit and runs. You're going to make sure that you're doing what you can to get into scoring position. So that's why I'm predicting the Dylan Cruz offensive output to be a 20-20 season, 20 home runs, 20 stolen bases. Then Dalen Lyle and CJ Abrams are going to have 30-30 seasons, 30 home runs and 30 stolen bases. They're going to have to do something to improve that lineup, to improve those numbers, and to improve those wins. And that is going to do it for day 11. The Nationals are in the books, and we're going to be looking ahead to day 12 tomorrow, where we're going to be talking about the Atlanta Braves. I grew up being a Braves fan. Like TBS was the station that I watched, and so of course I got to see greats like Chipper, like Smoltz, like Glavine, like Jones, and I can keep talking and talking and talking about them. But then I, of course, matured and turned into a Yankees fan. But I have the highest of high hopes for the Braves, and we're going to see that tomorrow. In any case, this is Jake Cake, and I want to thank you for sharing part of your day with me.